You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Drinks and a Movie podcast. I'm joined by Carissa once again. It's the Halloween season, and as promised, which reminds me, I completely forgot to post on Instagram that earlier today the Event Horizon episode dropped. Whoops, I'm like all over the place with work, working 14-hour days just about every day. And so I'm pretty scatterbrained right now, but we're here. We're talking Scream, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, 1996, iconic, kind of horror film. And I am going to drink for this one. I'm like back to basically full health. So let's go. I've got sorry, you're going to have to like sit through this for a bit, Carissa, but I've got the Four Roses limited edition barrel strength small batch. This is the 2024 release, coming in at 108.2 proof. Here we go. Break the seal. I'm stoked that I finally got one of these. They've eluded me for the last 9 years, and I finally managed to get one. They can be pretty pricey, and I got this at SRP. Yeah, I never thought I would get one of these, so that's pretty dope. I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, but people sell them for like 3, 4, 5. I've seen these go for like 9 before, which is wild. Yeah. I've never even tried any of their limited edition small batches. Like, there's really good single barrel store picks you can get that I've tried that are like some of the best shit I've had in the game. So I'm stoked on this. Yeah, let's see. So this came out. This is the 2024 edition. So I'm a year late to the game. Apparently came out September 14th, 2024. So a little more than a full year. So the stats on this are as follow, everybody. A blend of 4 bourbons comprised of their 3 different recipes. So if you know Four Roses, that they've got 10 different recipes, I think it is. So this is 31% the OBSV. That is 12 years old. Okay, 35% rye, 60% corn. So the higher rye. 23% OESK recipe, 15 years old. 75% corn, 20% rye. 39% OESF recipe at 16 years old. We're getting good numbers here. 75% corn, 20% rye as well. And then 7% OBSV recipe coming in at 20 years old. 60% corn, 35% rye. Says here MSRP is $220, which, yeah, that's probably closer to what I got it for. But I treated myself because I am working like 5 jobs right now. So I earned it.
You 100% did. 100%.
So what do you got? I think you said you're drinking a cider right now.
I got Ace, the pineapple cider. These are delicious. These are super easy to drink. It's like juice.
Yeah, delicious. I've had that before. It's been a long time, though. I remember trying that when I was working at Bevmo back in like 2016.
Yeah, we have them on my job. So we always just grab a few. They're really good.
Yeah, when we talk about Scream 4, 5, 6, we'll definitely need to do that in person. Hopefully we can find the time between, because you're also working a shit ton right now, but hopefully we can find the time, because it's also, Halloween season means like the cool craft beers that we like to do that have a lot of horror themes. So we'll have to find some of those when we do the next few movies. But here we go. Let me talk about this real quick so we can get into the film. The nose is pretty mellow. A nice like caramel, which is pretty stock for bourbon, of course. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon. There is like maybe like a tobacco kind of vibe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like tobacco, cinnamon, your stock kind of caramel. No. Yeah, I'm just going to go for it. Here we go. I don't want to keep you waiting. I'm just swirling it up a ton, trying to get some air in there. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm letting the first sip go so I can get acclimated and ready. I did warm up on the regular Four Roses single barrel, so I'm like warmed up in the family. There we go. Second sip.
And
I can't pick anything out right now, so it is good. I'll need to let it sit and open up. It's not knocking my socks off, though, considering maybe I blew it up in my mind too much, like how much I've wanted one of these over the years, the price, all that. Like right when it hits the tongue, it's like, all right, maybe some brown sugar, like just nice, sweet brown sugar. Then it goes into more of that tobacco-y vibe and a little bit of like the oakiness. Like it has some oakiness, not super dry, though. Not like a sweet oak though, just like straight kind of dark, kind of tobacco-y wood. The sweetness kind of subsides really quickly, but then on the back end, there's a little bit of like a red fruit note. I can't really put my finger on it. And then vanilla on the finish, just like a hint. And then Yeah, I mean it's still lingering, but the finish isn't giving me like layers of flavor or anything like super interesting. Yeah, I may have just blown this up in my head too much. Like, oh shit, I finally got one, and it's like a lot of like 16-year juice in here. Not too hot for the 108.2 proof to it. Like
Well,
on
that's
the
good.
proof side of things, it definitely seems closer to like 100. That second sip was definitely sweeter. Some of that cinnamon coming out. Yeah, and not like too viscous. I'm not gonna say it's like thin by any means, but it's not as viscous as I would think, and it doesn't have like the amount of depth I would have expected from something like this.
Yeah, well,
But
considering the age and everything, you would think that maybe it was like a little like it
yeah,
wasn't just swirling it. It didn't look too like the legs on it. It looked like kind of,
yeah, it's not like super dark by any means.
yeah, no.
Like if I were to compare it to like fucking hold on. I gotta be careful not to knock down like the best shit I have. Like if I compare it to like something like this, I
Yeah,
don't know, I'm trying to get in the light, but this one's definitely a little darker. I just
you can,
the
yeah, you
lighting's
can.
not good, but you get the sense. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it opens up. Again, first crack. I'm sure over time, after it oxidizes, we'll kind of see what happens. But let's talk Scream. I've been wanting to do this for a while, talk about all the movies. So that's going to be kind of our journey for the month of October, is talking about all six Scream movies. They are, I think, currently shooting part seven. I believe I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's already started. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and we'll talk about like the timeline and everything more once we like get to those films. I'll save it. But we're in 1996 right now, and I forget that this movie came out in 96. Whenever I go back to watch it, I always think it's like, oh, 99, closer to the millennium. But
Yeah.
like these first two movies, like 96, 97, and I think 2000 for part three. But this first film, Wes Craven, one of the icons of like horror filmmakers, right? Like one of the heavy hitters, as we all know, is Wes Craven. And I just learned, I mean, I'm sure I've heard this before in the past when I was like really into studying these directors, but I guess I forgot all about this, that he grew up like not watching movies, like only watching Disney movies. Like his parents didn't allow it, and he didn't watch like a regular film until he was in college.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's wild.
crazy, right? And then he would go on to make fucking Last House on the Left. It's like one of his early like first films, right? And he was also like an English professor at college, which is pretty crazy. And then he got into the film industry. So he's one of those kind of, it seems like a late bloomers, you might say, like went to school, became a college like professor, wanted to be a writer, didn't quite work out, then made it into the movie biz. So if he was able to do it, we still have time.
There's time
So that's
to do
encouraging.
this.
And this script by Kevin Williamson, I mean, I think Wes said that this was just his second script that he had sold, and that, it was clearly like a big, like, oh shit, we gotta jump on this and do it. And man, mad props to Kevin Williamson, because I do think this is one of the most brilliant scripts, like, in the genre. You know what I mean? And especially at that time, like, which is what a perfect time for it. And I guess I'll get into the synopsis here. Is this movie follows someone gets killed. They get a disturbing phone call from a stranger who's like quizzing them and talking to them about horror movies. They get murdered, and then they're on the hunt for Sidney Prescott, over whatever kind of family issue she has. And it's them trying to figure out who the killer is. And I'm doing a terrible job with that, so I'm going to read off the goddamn IMDb. Sorry. That was terrible. But
A for
well, here's the IMDb one though. A mass
Mhm.
killer targets a past victim's daughter. So
Oh, well,
mine,
okay.
yeah. So
Yours might have been a little better.
mine was a little better. I thought there was another
You would think that they give it like a little
synopsis
bit
here.
more fun something. So give us a little bit of something.
Yeah, I swore I read one already. Where'd it go? Here we go.
Eh,
Storyline. A year after her mother's death, Sydney Prescott, Neve Campbell, and her friends start experiencing some strange phone calls. They later learn the calls were coming from a crazed serial killer in a white face mask and a large black robe, looking for revenge. His phone calls usually consist of many questions, the main one being, "What's your favorite scary movie?" along with much scary movie trivia, ending with bloody pieces of innocent lives scattered around the town of Woodsboro. So I did not see this when it came out. I saw it, man, I don't even think, maybe when I was in high school or like early
Yeah.
college, probably in high school, like at least, 10 years after it came out. It was originally titled Scary Movie, and then they changed it to
That's hilarious.
Scream. Yeah, which is really funny because obviously then maybe like the year or two after this movie came out, um, they made Scary Movie, like the parody, the Wayans brothers, also, through Miramax, I believe. And, clearly after this film, the whole ghost face mask and black robe took off. And again, for that era was like the new kind of modern day, like icon up there with Freddy Krueger and, Pinhead and Michael Myers and Leatherface, you know what I mean? And I feel like we haven't had anything since Scream until what, Terrifier, if I remember correctly, Art the Clown. So that's pretty dope. You saw this for the first time, right? Which is
Yeah.
crazy to me.
It's funny because I remember seeing bits and parts and pieces of this movie. Like I had watched like a funny clip of, when they were saying, "Oh, this was like improv in this movie," when the phone was chucked at somebody's head, and like the twist of the Drew Barrymore thing at the beginning. I saw like little clips and pieces when people would talk about the movie, but I never watched the full film because I'm not a big slasher girly. I'm really into big like supernatural, this, that, the other, but I'm not into like a big slasher thing. And I didn't really understand Scream for what it was. But after watching it, now I do. And now I get it. Like I
Yeah.
understand it. Because I was always like, this looks like a cheesy, like slasher movie. And I'm not into cheesy slasher movies. But I totally get what they're like doing with this now. And I'm like, oh my God, it's fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Yeah. It really is. It's such a great idea. And it's a movie like by horror fans, like for horror fans. I feel
Yeah.
like all about that. And just, this idea of the movie being in a world where all these horror films like exist and all this lore and mythology. So, and they're like fans of it. So it's like, how do they deal with this crisis is by like, well, here's the rules of a movie and all that. And what's so funny is, and Wes Craven even says in this interview that I watched that it really is less horror, and I agree with that, and more just like a thriller movie, which is very true. Like it has its little jump scares and scary moments, but I would dare say it's a lot more humorous than anything. And it's funny that this was like the template for scary movie because this is already on its own, like not parodying like the horror genre, but it is poking fun at certain elements of it. It's kind of satirical. It's making light of it and exposing just kind of, some of the goofiness about it and the tropes. So I think it's great. I mean, I think it's funnier than Scary Movie, to be honest. If I were to go back and watch that movie again, I don't know that it would hold up as well, but this holds up so well in terms of like the comic aspect of it, I think.
No, yeah, 100%. And that was one thing before I watched it, like I didn't get because I was like, I don't understand what they're doing. Like, what is the point? Is it a slasher? I'm like, yeah, it's not like a hard to watch slasher. It's more like it keeps you enthralled because you're like, what's gonna happen? Who is it gonna be? It's like a fun like who done it
Yeah.
with like you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
like over the top who done it, where all the characters are kind of over the top. But it's always kind of like just side eyeing everybody and like, who is it? It's fun and it's very like kind of like surface level fun, but it like the way that it does, poke at the genre and all like the cliches and stuff. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm so mad that I waited so long to watch this.
Yeah. Right. And
Like I
then,
enjoy these could be a comfort movie to me too, because I'm like,
mm.
it's really hard seeing people get injured, but it's not hard to watch people get injured in in these movies, It's
Yeah.
just so like, stab. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's
Yeah.
like lighthearted fun, even though everybody's getting murdered.
Mhm.
Just makes no sense.
It is too. I mean, let's talk the opening scene. Like the opening scene is so good. Again, another like one of the iconic scenes, right? Like the phone call and the voice. What's your favorite scary movie? Drew Barrymore and the idea of, you know, obvious clearly pulling from like Psycho, right? Like from Janet Leigh getting killed, like being the main character, and all of a sudden the whole movie like shifts because she gets whacked. And to start this with that idea to throw you off, and we're gonna get Drew Barrymore, who at this point in this movie was like the most famous among
Cute.
everyone else on the cast, and to get her in there to just get rid of her in the first scene, it is so great and brilliant. The camera moves are just really excellent. The way they kind of move through the house and everything, I love. Of course, just the kind of horror movie quiz. Like the first time I saw this, I was like, oh, I love this already. Like, what's your favorite scary movie? Oh, the one with the guy that kills the babysitters, and all that.
Inside the hat.
And with the rest of the cast too, like obviously Neve Campbell's great and everything. You got Courtney Cox, you got David Arquette, but I love Jamie Kennedy. He's my absolute favorite character, is Randy, who like works at the video store and is like the real kind of movie nerd. Is
Yeah.
so perfect, and all the references he drops and how he's like calling out people and saying, "Oh, it's got to be this guy. It's the boyfriend because of these reasons, and this would be his motive," and all that. I think is so good. Matthew Lillard,
Oh, Matthew
born to
Lillard,
play the
heartbeat,
role, the
bro.
role too. So good, and that's one of those instances where I think like, I mean, I guess a lot of that personality must have been on the page, but I don't know. I'm guessing, right? But then to bring it to life and just his vibe and tone and manner and the way he talks and moves and is like Lucia, he's just so funny and like perfect and just like such a unique character in the movie. I just love him so much.
Yeah, he was amazing. I mean, but I love him. He's great. Ski Ulrich, dude. I
Right.
did not realize that he was in this, and I loved him in The Crafts.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like, yeah, he was in The Crafts, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember the first time, like, I like used to see clips of this movie when I was younger. Like, is that Johnny Depp? Because they look so similar when they were younger.
Right.
Like, like I mean, the cast is fantastic in this.
Yeah.
They really are. But man, that opening scene, amazing. But I've seen that scene. And the funny thing is, well, I guess we'll wait till we go into the second movie for all that. But like you said, Scary Movie was made like a year after this or 2 years after this. And I saw Scary Movie. And I didn't realize they were like I mean, I knew they were making fun of that movie, but I didn't realize how many scenes in
Right.
this movie were in that movie. So it kind of like, I was like, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah.
It was
And
weird kind of watching it now after seeing Scary Movie, and they basically remade it like all like spoofing it hardcore, you know?
yeah. Yeah, that first Scary Movie was like a lot of Scream, but I would say it's actually mainly I Know What You Did Last Summer, even more so.
Yeah.
But they do get the opening scene like, I mean, I haven't seen Scary Movie in so long, but I feel like it's damn near shot for shot. Some of it when it comes to the opening, like
Carmen Electra,
very
yeah.
close. Yeah, yeah, like very, very close. Um, I do think it's funny, you have what's his name? The Fonz, Henry Winkler is the principal. And there's that great moment when he like expels those kids and he's hearing noises in the school. And then he's like, "You goddamn kids," or whatever, and opens the door. And there's like the great Wes Craven cameo where he's the custodian, but he's like has the Freddy Krueger get up, like the red
The
and
sweater,
sweater
yeah.
and the hat. And oh, sorry, Fred, or whatever. And just this funny moment where he has the mask and he like sees it in the mirror and scares himself. So dumb. Yeah, no, it's a hell of a movie, and I of course just love the references. I think it's brilliant too when they get to the kind of end party scene and they put on Halloween.
Yeah.
So they're like watching it as a group and like reacting, and when Jamie Kennedy goes up and explains like the rules of like surviving the movie, and you never say "I'll be right back," and how they keep doing that, like, and they use that, like they bring that back in Scream 3 too. There's a moment where one of the guys is just like, "We'll be right back," and then of course they all get killed.
No, I mean it's
I love that. That's something that I'm pretty sure they even bring that up in like the newer movies too. Like literally every time they say that, they're fucking toast. But there's parts throughout that where the movie's playing in the background, Halloween, and the soundtrack for Halloween kind of becomes like the soundtrack to the movie we're watching. Like you, like it just timed out super well. And when he just, oh, look behind you, JB, look behind you. And when the news guy's watching him in the van and he's like, behind
oh
you.
my
It's so good.
gosh.
Like doesn't go in there and does anything. Just
Does
they're
it?
like,
Oh
no,
my
behind you, kid,
God.
behind you. And they do a good job with this kind of, this is almost like, like you said, the who done it, almost kind of giallo style of like, everyone's a suspect. Who could it be? And this first movie especially does like kind of kept me guessing the first time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Especially there's that other good moment at the end where it's both Stu and Jamie Kennedy.
There's
And they're, oh, give
two
me the
of them.
gun. Yeah, give me the gun and all that. Like he tried to kill me and blah, blah, blah. Um, yeah, God, I love this movie.
I enjoyed this movie so much more than I thought I was going to. Like I was like, oh my God, like I understand. I get it now. I get what the whole point of this movie was. Cause for the longest time I was like, bro, I was like, this is like, I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I never watched any of the Screams. Not
Mhm.
one. Not one. And then I've watched three of them in the past, like what, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
And they're so fun.
Yeah.
And they're kind of silly. And listen, Scream 3 is silly as fuck, and I love it. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah. That one went for like just, let's just be fucking funny. Like Scream 3, like might as well be a scary movie. You know what I mean? Like
No, a hundred
they like
percent.
lean into the humor way more in that one. Yeah, and we'll get into that when we get there a little more. There's some things to say about that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, right now all I can do is kind of gush about it, and just being someone who I was like, I don't know if I'd say I was at the height of my horror movie fandom. I mean, maybe at that point, but I was very much deep into it. So even though I saw this movie like later, I saw it at the right time in my movie watching career, or just in my movie fan development, whatever you want to call it. I saw it at the absolute right time, and each one is just to me so good. I mean, some are more hitters than others for sure. And it's interesting that they've gone on and like started like randomly like, hey, let's start making more of them again, even though it's been like 15 years, 10 years. But it's funny, and I think necessary, and I'm glad they're still making them, just in the sense that there's always something to say about like horror films and fandom. And we'll get into that more when we get into like 4 and 5 and all that. So I'll save that. But yeah, I mean, this movie really hits, and
The ending of like
96, like
why
I
they
guess it
killed
came at the
two,
right
I
time.
was like, what the fuck? Like I wasn't expecting
That it was two killers.
that it was two, but I wasn't expecting the reason why they
Mhm.
killed her mom. I was like, what the hell is
Yeah,
going on? I'm like, this is crazy. And then after watching 2 and 3, I'm like, this is even crazy. Like, what is going on?
that was a good surprise as well. Like one, the unmasking of the killer. It's almost like a Scooby
Mhm.
Doo kind of thing,
No,
and then right, it's me, and all that. But yeah, the fact that there is two of them, and that makes me think back to like Blood and Black Lace, right? Like, and that's where I
Mhm.
feel like Kevin Williamson must have seen like some giallo films, but Blood and Black Lace, you find out it was two killers. It was the guy and the lady like in cahoots together, and then he was trying to betray her in the end. So I did like that, and just how just maniacal and crazy they are, like, and and it's so, again, it's so maniacal, but at the same time it's just funny. Like all their dialogue at the end just makes me laugh.
Oh my God, that was
Yeah,
that.
when Billy Loomis, who of course named after Sam Loomis from Halloween, But when he picks up the gun and shoots Randy, and he's like, "We all go a little mad sometimes," and he's like, "Anthony Perkins, Psycho, 1960," like all this movie nerd shit. Uh, and what does he say? What's that line? He's like, "Movies don't make psychos. Psychos make something or whatever." Because and it is, and that's another interesting side of this is they tap into that kind of conversation of are the films or movies responsible for kind of breeding violence in people that watch them? You know, do they make people do that? And that's, you know, people have been talking about that for years. There's like studies on it. I still get in arguments with people about, you know, that kind of shit. And I like that that's kind of a theme in the movie too, you know, and you know, Wes talks about that in a way deeper way than I ever will, but just that's kind of part of the core theme of it, right? Like this world, or in this world, again, where these movies and this lore exist, and you know, how do people relate to violence, and how do they relate to it when it's happening to them, and all that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the whole line is now, Sid, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more
Oh
creative.
yeah, that's sick. I was looking for it too. I'm glad you found that. Yeah, so
Oh
funny.
my
But
God.
wait, there's more. So,
Oh, and then he has just the drool and everything
yeah,
in his
yeah.
face. I'm like, ah.
Well, it just, yeah, it gets so crazy too. And when she gets the voice thing and runs off with the gun, and there's a part where Stu, because you know how he's like bleeding out, he's like, "I'm feeling really woozy here, man.
Yeah.
You cut me too deep." But when he talks to her on the phone and he's like, "Hey, did you really call the cops?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "My dad's gonna be so mad," or whatever.
And like the like things like that, it's just like, oh my God, like, I really, man, it's just the entire end sequence with them and her, it just feels so organic and so funny and just so
Yeah.
like, mm,
And
mm.
and one of my favorite, I say this all the time, like one of my all-time favorite lines in any like horror movie is the, and I say I do, but I find ways to like say this in my real life, like as much as I can, is at the end, you know, they kill Stu, or well, apparently not because he's coming back in the next movie for some reason. But
What? You
uh,
didn't tell me that. What? Shit.
yeah, sorry to spoil it, but it's like out there. Like he's already done interviews and they announced it when they announced
Oh,
the
wait, wait,
movie.
no, no, yeah, they did. I saw an
Yeah.
interview about it.
Which
Yeah.
is weird. It's like that could have been a cool surprise, but it's like they just kind of went out and said it. Like that's what they needed to sell the movie, I guess.
I mean, maybe to be like, yes, he's back. But they could have just
Yeah.
not said anything when the like trailer release just had him in it,
Right. Just like an old ass Matt Lillard now.
right? Oh,
but but oh no, what was I saying?
something that you love. Oh, when the
Oh yeah, the line, the be careful. This is the part where the supposedly dead bad guy comes back to life for one last scare. And then
everybody's like,
he
oh,
jumps out.
whatever. Then he popped and ah!
So perfect. Um but yeah, man, I don't know. Hell of a movie. I mean, I'm glad you liked it. I definitely hijacked the conversation. But I think I said what I needed to say. So what do you, what
No,
more do you have to
listen,
add?
like, I mean, I was always kind of like not judgmental, but I was like, this is not going to be my kind of horror movie. It feels like it's like a cheesy, stupid horror movie. And I always thought that, and I never watched it. And now I'm just like, man, I'm like, this was like so clever and so fun. And if you're a fan of the horror genre, you're gonna see all these like little Easter eggs and all these little things, and you feel like it's a personal little call out to you because
Yeah.
you as a horror fan would recognize this more than anybody. So it feels like, it's kind of like giving you a little something like that, like we know it, you know it. Let's like do this
Yeah.
together. Let's like poke fun at this together because we all know what it is. And I feel like it was a really nice little, it was a
Yeah.
nice movie. It was fun for me to watch and be like, oh, they get it too, and they see it too. And like, even though it's like a universal thing, nobody really pointed out how universal it all was until, this movie kind
Yeah.
of came,
Yeah.
which was a nice, it was, I don't know how I don't know how to explain what I like felt watching it. It felt like validating.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
does that make sense?
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like affirming, and no, I love that
Yeah.
too. It's like when you're in on when you're in on the joke and stuff, and there's a lot of little references and things that like I love. There's one part where Rose McGowan's like, "You sound like someone in a Wes Carpenter movie," like shit like that. It's just like, what is this? The town that dreaded sundown? And just it's so fucking silly, but it works. And it's like funny. Yeah, no, I love all that aspect of it, and like, yeah, being let into it, and I like, like you said, kind of cheesy slasher movie. And I think the way Wes Craven kind of talked about it as being more thriller and not so much horror is very much on the mark. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, I mean, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, that is kind of a way to go into it. And it's pretty clear right off the bat. Like the opening scene is good and it does its job as a horror sequence, but soon after that, it is a lot more humor than scare, and especially if that's like the more you know about the genre and the bigger the fan you are, the bigger a nerd you are, like the better the movie is going to be. And I love that. And I mean, this is what, a decade before Cabin in the Woods, Cabin in the Woods would bring something similar. And the Faculty, I mean, Kevin Williamson also wrote The Faculty that Robert Rodriguez directed, which is very similar, right? Like the kind of meta commentary, but that's all about like body snatcher movies, like sci-fi shit.
I literally made Ben watch that for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, there's so many famous people in that freaking John's the teacher." He's like John's, and then others in it. He's like, "What the hell?" I'm like,
Salma Hayek and Piper Laurie.
I was like, these are the movies, bro. Everybody were in these fucking movies. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. So now that you've seen this and you've seen The Faculty, like you can totally tell that it's the same writer, right? Like, God. Yeah, complete 100%. You're like, oh yeah, the same guy like has just had this shit on his mind,
Literally, he's like, all right, taking over the high school, killing in the small town, like just going over all the tropes for like, the alien movies where you're like, and then this slasher killer, like it's crazy. Yeah. It's like a formula. I mean, but we already knew that. But Faculty, I didn't know he wrote The Faculty, but now looking at it, I'm like, oh, of course he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course he did. Very satisfying though. Very satisfying.
Well, yeah, I think that's all I have for this one. You want to wrap it up here and then we'll talk Scream 2?
Yeah, I think anybody who has not seen Scream, watch it. You will like it way more than you think you will. 100%.
Yeah, it's a must watch. If you have like any interest in the horror genre, like you've got to see it. It's one of the icons, one of the iconic filmmakers and one of the iconic movie monsters, so to speak, and heroines, and Sidney Prescott, she's up there with Nancy and fucking Laurie Strode. So
yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up here and then we'll jump into Scream 2. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Drinks and a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks and a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksandamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.